25 bride/groomzilla horror stories, according to Reddit. Number 25. I'm not a wedding planner, however my sister made her wedding a living hell for me. She is overweight and short, and so were some of her friends. I am not someone who dresses provocatively, and I have no judgment about her weight. However, I am a size 0 to 2, and she forced me to wear a size 6 strapless bridesmaid dress and pay extra to have it shortened because I am tall and not allowed to wear heels. Every other bridesmaid wore the same shoes except me. I was already annoyed and spent the entire night trying to keep my dress from literally sliding to my ankles. My wedding is about me, not you showing off, she'd say. Prior to the wedding, I had to blow off an important day at work and drive 2.5 hours to her bridal shower, where I paid for all of it. My mother refused to change the date even though I knew of this months in advance. My mother then told my sister that I didn't even want to be at the shower. So my sister called me the night before the wedding saying, "Hi, just so you know, you're not my maid of honor anymore. It's going to be my friend. Sorry, gotta go." Their marriage lasted a 1.5 years. No offense, but your sister sounds like an ass, says somebody in the comment section. And she got what she deserved, you know what I mean? She was an incorrigible bitch, and her relationship didn't last. In her dirty, fat little face, hopefully she found a tub of ice cream to be her lawfully wedded. Fucking, I'm done. I'm sorry. Number 24. I have a bunch of little horror stories, many of which are just people behaving badly in general. Some that might qualify as Zilla, though. Number 1. We had a bride that booked her ceremony in August in Georgia outside on a paved patio. Then she was 1.5 hours late. We were worried some people were gonna get heat stroke. I don't know why I said eat. Maybe
Heat stroke?
Get a eat stroke. You know what I mean?
Maybe you've had just too many beef patties in one day.
I haven't had any today. You know damn well I haven't had any beef patties today. What are you
Those
trying to?
withdrawals are heavy, huh?
You trying to make this some kind of thing? You know? Because maybe I'll make you get some beef patties if you keep running off your mouth. Number 2, we had a groom come to his tasting, which consisted of the least expensive but still nice, quite nice menu. He immediately declared that one salad dressing was too runny, the ranch, while the other was too thick, the blue cheese, and it only went downhill from there. He argued about everything from the shade of the napkins to the temperature of the room. His fiancée did not care about a single thing. Maybe he was just trying to be some kind of ass in front of her. You know, maybe he thought that would be all like, oh, he wants his thing specifically. I like this guy. Number 3, we had one groom who was an hour late. His bride laid down on the floor, pulled the back of her dress over her head, and started singing nursery rhymes to herself until he could be located. Well, everybody has their little comfort zone apparently, and that's hers. Holy crap. Fucking hang around the road. Like, is that a nursery rhyme?
That's a nursery rhyme.
It's not?
No, yes it is.
It is, yeah. Number 4, another time the venue had been booked for the reception only, ceremony off-site. Nobody arrived at the booked time. 3 hours later, my catering manager is about to order everyone to pack up, but the groom miraculously called and said that they were on the way. Later, the photographer told me that he had been 3 hours late to the ceremony. He hadn't even picked up his tuxedo until 2 hours after the scheduled start time, and they still had no idea where he had been the whole time. The poor bride was 6 months pregnant and puking the whole time. Well, shotgun marriages.
He did show up though, or did he just bail altogether? He
showed up eventually. He eventually showed up. But I mean, when your wife is pregnant, making her way, man, fuck me. You know what that kind of marriage is gonna be like. Waka waka. Number 5. A bride's wedding planner was dissatisfied with the DJ he'd hired and fired him via text message after the rehearsal dinner. Well, they showed up and were about to set up because nobody had told me when the wedding planner flew in and pitched a fit. They started a yelling match and I had to take them all to a private room to scream it out. I thought I was going to have to call the police. Nobody had a paper contract of any kind. After the bride and wedding planner left the room, the DJ told me what had happened. I commiserated, haven't seen that word, with him, but told him he would have gotten a contract. Of course, then the wedding planner wanted to plug his iPhone into the speaker system, which I couldn't access because they hadn't paid for IT, so there was no IT staff person there to unlock the closet. I was probably not as accommodating as I potentially could have been at that point. All of this is exactly what drove me out of the industry. I work as an administrative assistant now. I coordinate my friends. Yeah, you fucking cares. Let's move on to the next one. What is this, 23? My friend is a photographer, does weddings, got punched in the face by the groom because the groom decided that the photographer was taking too many photos of the bride. Okay. Wedding seems to bring out the worst in humanity. Let's see what the responses here are. Was he territorially jealous, like, hey, that's my wife, keep your hands off? Or selfish jealous, like, hey, it's my wedding too, why only take pictures of the girl? In the multi-$1,000 dress, yeah, you idiot. Like, this is her day, dude. This is her day. Unless, of course, it's a gay coupling, in which, of course, it should be, I don't know, whichever guy is the girl in the relationship, you know what I mean? Number 22. Oh. My God. What? Yeah, the length of it, right? Here, yeah. I've only been we should just get a supercut of our response, like our reactions to the two long ones. Number 22, I've only been a catering director for a few months now, but I already have a few gems. One bride getting married in January is a lovely girl and fun to talk to, worth work with, but I feel like every conversation I have with her leads back to, I want to do blank, like a really cool thing, but I only want to pay like less than a fourth of what the really cool thing would reasonably cost. I've made some suggestions to her, but it's like she's waiting for me to offer her something for free just because she wants it. No, it doesn't work that way. Poor girl. She must have been used to getting everything for free in her life because she was probably reasonably attractive. You know what I mean? There you go. Just worked a wedding this past Saturday. They booked 100 people, and when they gave me the guest list, I worked at a country club with a security gate, so we needed everyone's name so they could get in the gate. There were 117 people. I told them that I would have to charge them for 117 because that's how much food we would have to prepare. Cue annoyed phone call from the bride being all, every time we talk to you it seems like there are more charges. Well, yes, but every time you talk to me you add something, like guests or bar packages. Another one, the weekend I started, we had a large and expensive wedding for the daughter of one of the club's members. I was there but didn't run it. Just this past week, we got an email from the groom 3 months later wanting to adjust the invoice due to X, Y, and Z that had gone wrong with his wedding. Pretty much everything that he mentioned on the list was either A, out of control, i.e. my predecessor leaving right before the wedding, B, corrected when it was mentioned to us, or C, never mentioned until now. I'm honestly not sure what my manager is planning on doing about it, because how are we supposed to correct something that happened 3 months ago? It seems like blatantly money grabby, but you know. Oh, and the parents of the terrible bride had nothing but wonderful things to say about the wedding for weeks afterwards, so yeah, my guess is money grab. I'm sure I'll run into plenty of bride and groomzillas during my career, but honestly, the hardest part of me right now is working with people who are easygoing and don't care. Really, it makes me really nervous. And when I ask someone, do you like A or B better, and they tell me that they don't care because if I pick A and it turns out that you actually liked B but I didn't want to tell me for whatever reason, then it's my fault. If you're planning a wedding, pro tip, be decisive. I know it's hard, but the decision is difficult because it doesn't matter to you. Just make the decision rather than letting it fall to your poor planner who is terrified of upsetting you. Man, females should know what the hell they want for their corny ass wedding. Like, society builds this stupid day up to be like the day of your life or something. So if it's going to be your dream day, then be a little asshole about it. But just don't be a dick to the people that are involved in making it your day, you know what I mean? At another one of the weddings I helped at, when I first started, we had a Dadzilla. He was the father of the bride, and he was drunk. He was a drunk. Ooh. Toward the end of the evening, he asked that I play I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston. No, they didn't have a DJ. I was using my phone hooked up to our ancient sound system to play music for their reception. Wow. I obliged, and he decided that he wanted to sing along. Whatever. Well, my coworker, who had taken over in between my predecessor leaving and me starting, decided to unplug the mic because he was, in her words, killing the song. I didn't care one way or the other. It was no skin off my nose if he wanted to warble along, but whatever. She cut off maybe the last 30 seconds of the song. Cue months of angry phone calls and demands of a refund because she ruined his daughter's wedding. This in spite of the fact that his daughter had both warned us about him and apologized to us for him. He showed up one day to pick up the remainder of a few decorations that they had left behind and claimed that my boss was supposed to have left a $450 check behind for him and wouldn't leave until we paid him. I had to deal with this guy harassing me for money for probably 45 minutes before he finally gave up and left, claiming that he was going straight to the courthouse to sue us in small claims court. We haven't heard anything since then. He probably put off by filing fees, would be my guess. But my husband still asks for microphone guy updates every once in a while, and I sincerely hope that I won't have any more to give. There's that. Somebody replies, I worked in tuxedos for a long time. One day, a woman comes in, frantic because we ruined her son's wedding. She shows up pictures and says the sleeves of the jacket were like a 1/4 inch too long, and that's it. That's the only issue. But the wedding wasn't ruined because of it, apparently. So she wants to get refunds. Now, as far as I can tell, she probably didn't pay for any of the rentals. So we tell her that we need to talk to the district manager and get back to her. She agrees and leaves. Yeah, we look up the groom's name. The wedding had taken place over 3 years prior. Fortunately, she never came back. I have no idea why she thought that would work. Some fucking people, Stripes.
Was that a response?
Yeah.
I don't know why they felt like they needed to piggyback on someone else's reply. It seems like it would have worked fine as just a regular post.
Not if they got there super late. Well, they didn't get there super late. They got there an hour late. But again, some people just feel like volunteering information. Oh man, that reminds me of a story in my life. I'm going to reply to your comment. Boop, 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 boop. Fucking 21. I worked a wedding where I basically had to play a game of telephone all day long. I'm a photographer and came on site the day of the wedding to meet the planner/coordinator, who promptly told me to be careful around the bride. Be careful, huh? Apparently at the rehearsal the prior night, the bride thought the coordinator was taking too much of her time after 2 questions. Wow. And relayed through her bridesmaid that the coordinator was no longer allowed to speak to the bride or even look her in the eye. You think you're royalty here. All communication would have to go through a family member from there on out. I had worked with this coordinator in the past and knew her to be a consummate professional and a pleasant person to be around. She had actually assumed the bride would get over her tantrum the day of the wedding, but nope, still no talking or eye contact. The coordinator tried her best to keep the wedding day going smoothly and on time, but it was really tough to do so through proxy. Taking photos took forever because I had to make sure a bridesmaid or sister was always with us to tell the couple where to stand and how to pose. It was one of the most awkward jobs I ever had. Also, should mention that when I came on site for the wedding, I was able to locate the bride by the sound of her screaming at her hair/makeup artist. By the time I came into the bridal suite, she had switched to screaming at her bridesmaids for looking prettier than her and made them change their hairstyles to look uglier. Wow. Well, that's your own fault, you ugly bitch. You know what I mean? After I was done with getting ready portraits, I found the groom outside on a balcony just smoking a cigarette and started staring into the sun with the longest sigh I've ever heard in my life. Look, man, I found the groom on the balcony smoking a cigarette and staring into the sun. Why the fuck do these dudes go through with something like this at this point? Better to ruin everybody's day by canceling the wedding than to ruin your life by marrying a ridiculously spoiled brat. I think the way that some guys look at it when they realize it's like this is like, you know, they might as well bang this bitch up, you know what I mean, on this honeymoon and then dump her, right? So that the day itself isn't ruined for everybody. And then his life isn't ruined by him just calling it quits. You know what I'm talking about, Sharps? This, I don't know, man. I don't know. The thing is, when people want to act like a piece of shit, you know what I mean? The fact that, we have, you know, computers in our pockets now that can record and immediately upload things to the internet, like record people, you know what I mean? This goes out to the kids watching this video right now more than anything. When your parents start acting a piece of shit, fucking record them, you know what I mean? Even if they don't know they're being recorded, record your parents in secret and put them on blast, because an audience is the only thing that's going to make pieces of shit act like they you know, are genuine humans. Because fuck me, man, you change your hairstyles to look uglier, you know what I mean? I would love to just like have that little outburst of hers on the internet to make her feel like a piece of crap. And hey man, I'm not saying that, you know, we should be trying to get people to commit suicide because they're such terrible people, but I just want to encourage them to change. And if they commit suicide, then I guess that's all right too. I do not condone, you know, suicide, but Stripes does, because she's crazy, man.
Do you think there's wedding fights that we haven't seen?
Would you want to look up wedding fights on YouTube right now?
Yes, I do.
Let's see here, wedding fights. Alright, seems to be some kind of, whoa, god damn. God damn. Let's see, we got some from the 90s here when the HD wasn't as flip dibble shribbles as it was, you know what I'm talking about. I wonder if people will be in the mood for us interrupting the video, you know. Looks like a pretty legit, just fighting at a reception, just a little bit of shoving. I'm trying to see some uppercuts, you know what I mean?
Is that a bull?
This is overseas, this doesn't count, you know what I mean? This is so boring. You know what? I want to see like a bride fight. Wedding. Bride. Stripes, we're in the middle of a video. How are you going to entice me with this kind of crap? Let's get back to the, Jesus Christ.
If I didn't say it now, I would just get away from us forever.
Number 20. Well,
no,
not so much Bridezillas, but Momzillas. We've had twice in the last year weddings where it was clear to us that the things happening weren't because the bride wanted them, but because the bride's mother felt they didn't have the wedding they wanted, so they were making all these big decisions for the bride. Jesus Christ. And we were just talking about parents. It's so sick, you know what I mean, when like your life is clearly over because you have no interests or anything that defines you or anything going on, so you're trying to live vicariously through other people. Like, stop for a second and pretend that you're interesting and stop trying to make decisions for other people. Like, it's one thing to have somebody's best interest at heart, but when you have so little going on that you're making decisions based on what you would want for other people or based on what you think is okay for other people, like, kill yourself. You hear me? You hear me, motherfucker? You know what I mean? I'm talking to you. I'm kidding. My mother-in-law and my mother's tried this shit. My wife and I shut them both down and took over, planned and executed the whole thing ourselves, printing, decorations, the works. So my mother, upset the whole day wasn't about her, outed my deeply in the closet gay brother at the wedding.
What did he have to do about this?
You don't understand what parents are like. You know what I mean? When they have nothing going on for them, they will, you know, just pull out any and everything that they consider to be in their arsenal. They'll be all like, oh yeah, well, because they need the attention on them. So be like, I bet you didn't know this about this guy. You know what I mean? Because it's no longer about them. But at the end of the day, they're going to die alone. You know what I mean? All the people that are around them that they've convinced themselves love them, or you know what I mean, you know, are there for them because they're such great and special people. You know, they'll know who they are when they show their true colors, and when they're in that grave, you know what I mean, people gonna be rejoicing at that wedding, because what a day of rejoicing it will be when we all see that lady dead. I'm kidding.
You said at their wedding, but I think you meant funeral.
What's the difference? What's the difference? So look, my mother, upset that the whole day wasn't about her, outed my deeply in the closet bragother, okay, at the wedding. Suddenly everyone was talking to her and about how she had this terrible burden to carry. So my wife and I encouraged them to leave the reception and help her, and kept our friends there to carry on the party, and my brother.
Wait.
Party.
So was the burden that she has a gay son?
Yeah,
or?
yeah, because you know, old people, they gonna be all like, "Oh my God, you poor thing. I'm so sorry that your son is gay." What a monstrous cunt your mother is, as a response here. My God, man. Number 19. My mom worked in a bridal salon when she was in college. Sizing was a nightmare. Sandra came in to try on gowns. She tried on the large sample dress, had it pinned to see how it would look on her if it was her size. She said this was it, so my mom took her measurements and figured out what size she needed to order. My mom told her dress will be size 8 based on her measurements. Sandra threw a fit. That's impossible. All of my other dresses are size 4. I have been a size 4 and since I was 14. I'm not a size 8. Order me a 4. So my mom would explain how sizes vary from designer to designer, just to explain it away and try to get this bitch to get a fucking dress in her size. Well, while she may be 4 normally, with the designer of her dress, her measurements are considered an 8. And it's just a number, and if it's too big, it can be taken back, but the 4 couldn't be taken out. Sandra took note of that. Despite all the protest, she demanded a 4. A couple weeks later at the wedding, her size 4 dress arrived. It wouldn't zip, duh, and the bride had a meltdown. Mom had to apologize and reorder a larger dress at the bridal salon's expense. At the salon's expense? Fuck this dumb cunt. Guys, give me 1 second here. I'm going to dive into my recycling bin and make sure that I have enough space to record this video, as crazy as that sounds, because I know that I'm running so deep into the amount of shit on my computer that we could be cutting it close, which is hilarious. Was that 19?
You were asking me like I keep track.
Man. Number 18. My sister fired her wedding planner and canceled the rehearsal dinner. The photographer ended up stepping in and being the one to tell us when it was our turn to walk down the aisle, time to cut the cake, who should toast, etc. Because my sister was toasted and the rest of us were clueless. My sister was toasted? That sounds like something that you would describe a person who is high as. But I'm sure they just meant like, pissed or something, like angry.
Oh, I thought they meant like toasted as in like when they throw up the cup in the air or whatever. No?
No. Even though that is a thing that they do at weddings. But proposing a toast is when you raise your glasses,
sure.
And then
That's not what they're talking about.
You're talking about that thing where they throw the fucking bouquet and then somebody grabs it, right?
No, I'm talking about the drink thing.
What I just said. You are a nightmare. And this whole record, everybody's just like, what the hell's going on? Fucking look.
Maybe I'm the one that's toasted.
Maybe I am the fool. He was also a top-notch photographer, despite all of the extra responsibility he took in the wedding, and my husband and I were considered buying some of the photos he took of our family. And my husband and I were considering taking some of the... this is from the perspective of another family who was at the wedding. Jesus Christ, listener, forgive me. God, it's just... But he ended up taking all of my sister's pictures off of his site because she was screen capping and sharing them with the watermark cropped out instead of buying them. So classless. Wow. That sucks. Wow, man. After the photographer did all that shit at her wedding, he wouldn't buy the photos. He was like cropping out the watermark and sharing them online. That's rude. Number 17. Maybe. Currently planning a wedding. My own. We've been engaged for nearly 2 years now, and with the wedding just over 5 weeks away, we've been able to plan methodically and consider various things more slowly. Weddings offer so much scope to get bogged down in details, it's insane. And the more details there are, the more there are to potentially fail. Take the chairs. If your venue provides the chairs, fine. Do you want them unadorned, covered, or decorated with something? Decorated with something? Like flowers or silk? Bow? Okay, a bow. What color do you want? How big do you want the bow? Where should it sit on the chair? Do you want more than one? What color should each be? Etc, etc. Get the fuck off my page with so many decisions made and day by day customized down to fucking cutlery. I am sure it can feel like a huge deal when someone inevitably doesn't work right. Something, someone, something. Maybe the tablecloths are ivory instead of cream. Perhaps one of the bridesmaids is wearing a mismatched shoes by accident. People can get very tightly wound around their wedding. Take my cousin's friend. She is forbidden, her bridesmaid, my cousin is one, to use anything other than a very specific brand of fake tan more than a set number of times in the month preceding the wedding. They aren't allowed to be more tan than the bride, artificially or naturally. They have to wear a very specific pair of tights, set thickness and color, or the bride will lose her shit. I'm a very lucky man that my fiance is so chill. So chill. So chill. When we got married, my husband and I decided to rank details like your examples based on how much they mattered to us at the start of the whole planning process or when they first came up along the way. You could only rank one or two things as high priority. For me, I decided it was the photography. For him, it was the food. Good on you, mate. Then when we would find ourselves or see the other one getting upset about chairs or bows or bridesmaid shoes or something, we'd say, what priority was that again? Oh, right, it was low. And it really helped keep a good perspective that we should be putting our energy, about what we should be putting our energy into.
That's a really good system.
It's a good system, but it only works if you have a wife who is in many ways capable of being logical or seeing things from a perspective other than her own. And as crazy as I am about like putting a dumbass bitch in her place, like I would almost understand a girl getting hormonal around this day, because much like what society has built the prom to be or having a baby for a woman to be, the bride is typically, you know, touted as like, this is your fucking day of like your life, you know what I mean? So a lot of these chicks, they want to have everything a certain way this day, and even when they're looking at things logically and being reasonable or rational, if they're hormonal as well, things are just gonna fly the fuck off the handle. And you gotta understand, some chicks, and it happens to you as well, it happens to everybody, sometimes it's really easy to turn nothing into something. So just ice that cake of like a terrible fucking wedding scenario with the icing of, you know, something stupid going wrong, like fucking cloths and bows on a chair. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, and again, I feel like marriage is almost like redecorating a house or something, or like a kitchen remodel, because it's a great test to see the type of person that you're dealing with. But you know, only some people who are listening to this will know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about, and I'm not going to elaborate. Number 16. I freelance as extra help and event management for a wedding planner in Nashville. The worst wedding that we ever worked was a Persian wedding. Oh yeah, give us some of that ethnicity. The ceremony was held in Baha'i Faith Center, and the reception was an hour away in a Jewish community center. All because the groom's family was cheap as shit. Reception is an hour away, man. Damn, homie. They decided not to pay the extra money to have full kitchen access, which meant the Kurdish kebab caterers were getting hot water out of the coffee machines. The groom's sister was a raging bitch face, according to the planner, got in a car accident on the way to the reception. Wow. The bride and groom showed up at 10 p.m. instead of 7 p.m. The waitstaff was only contracted until 10 p.m., but thankfully they were happy to stay and work with the wedding planning crew. The invitation said 6 p.m., so all of the American invites showed up at 6 p.m. and were waiting for the B&G for 4 hours. And we were given strict instructions to wait for the couple before we started serving food. My boss asked me what my opinion of working with the family was. I told her that I wouldn't recommend them to anybody. It was a shit show. Man. Thankfully, they had Kurdish kebabs soaked in coffee machine water until they arrived. Jesus Christ.
But like the car accident, it wasn't that bad if he's not making really a note of it. It seems like just such a minor thing.
I mean, maybe it was bad. I mean, I'm sure they were fine. I mean, maybe the car could have been wrecked. I think it's just, the hilarity of, like, having a reception an hour away from the ceremony where it was hosted, you know what I mean?
Sure, a lot of things can go wrong between then and now, but I don't think they're putting enough perspective on the bride and groom.
Yeah, who are pieces of shit. 4 hours? You're waiting 4 hours for these assholes to get here,
crash.
and nobody can be fuck a car crash, you know what I mean? It wouldn't have happened if they didn't situate it as far away from where it was as they did. And, these human pieces of kebab are the reason for it. Number 15, perhaps. I work on a mobile bar that travels to different weddings in our region of the country. We had this couple who were a bit strapped for cash, so we did their wedding for cheap. We normally serve more lavish weddings. Anyway, they were so nice to begin with, but a lot of their guests brought their own alcohol to the venue, which isn't allowed. We confiscated it and promised to give it back at the end. One of these guests was the groom's father, who brought a whole keg of ale. Around 10 p.m., most of the guests were leaving. The party was supposed to go on until 1 a.m. As the bride and the groom had been taking drugs, ketamine, I think, and were pretty mashed. We weren't selling any more drinks, so we decided to leave early, refund the customers a bit of money, and leave all the confiscated booze behind. The bride, who booked us, was cool with this, so we proceeded to leave. The groom was not cool with this. Just after we packed up and he started demanding drinks and the phone numbers of all of our female staff. We denied, of course, and the bar was packed away and nobody wanted to give him their number. Eventually, we packed everything into my boss's trailer and were ready to leave. We all ran to the car park as the groom was kicking off by this point, and everyone jumped into my boss's car apart from me as I drove myself. My boss pulls away out if he car park in the car park maybe, as the groom comes out of the venue and starts hurling chairs at the car and trailer, screaming nonsense and swearing at the same time. He hadn't noticed me yet. I turned the key in my car, a class of VW Bug, which of course didn't start. He noticed me then. I kept trying the engine, and after a few tries it started. It's a movie now. I turned on my headlights and there he was, 6'2" of cat head, groom standing with the Brock eyes in front of my tiny car. I couldn't get around him as he kept running in front of me, so I decided to drive straight at him and hope he moved out of the way. He didn't. Instead, he jumped onto my car and eventually fell off the curved bonnet. Never looked back. Fuck that guy. Too long didn't read. Groom took drugs, went mental, threw chairs, and jumped on my car. Wow. Well, there you go.
This is the white, trashiest wedding I've ever heard of.
Man, who knows what the hell was going on there?
Who's getting fucked up on their wedding on drugs?
Trash, man. It's weird, you know what I mean? Because you figure if you're the type that's into drugs.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? That's silly.
I think where you're going to go with that is you'd rather use the money for more drugs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I think when there's probably some people that are thinking, we are druggies, right? Mm-hmm. I hear that having weddings will get people to give us money and give us like things that we can sell for money for more drugs. So maybe that's the way that they're looking at it is, I'm sure there are a lot of little girls, not so much little, but like, girls that have their weddings paid for them by, daddy and shit like that. So number 14, how about Momzilla? I was the planner for a wedding and had been working with the bride and groom. A few months into planning, the groom's mom called me to change the dates of the wedding. I thought it was kind of weird and called the couple to confirm the change. Nope. Couple did not know anything about the date change and said to completely ignore the groom's mom and call them if she tried to get in contact. What a stupid bitch. God, this threat is terrifying. My fiance and I are having a steampunk themed wedding and her mom is already turning into a mother-in-law-zilla. Pissed she's not wearing white. Pissed at our revenue choice. Pissed at our music choices. Pissed about the cake. Is this your wedding, bitch? It's not. Oh wait, shut the fuck up. We are having a fake cake made that's just the top tier is real for us to cut. The cake for the guests is going to be this amazing chocolate sheet cake that are cheaper and way tastier than your average fondant covered wedding cake. She keeps telling us when the pictures come out, we're going to regret it. Even going so far as to tell my significant other she looks like a slut in her wedding dress. She had a black and gold corset with a black and gold skirt and had top hat and goggles and gear to wear it. And she can't believe we aren't going to cover our tattoos for the wedding. We both have whole sleeves. She said it's so trashy. It's to the point where we are considering uninviting her because we are afraid she will make a scene. Dude, definitely uninvite this bitch. Somebody says definitely recommend setting up a code word with your vendors if you haven't. That way, if any flying monkey she tries sending in her steed can't screw with your plans before the wedding.
Yeah, a lot of older parents are gonna be upset if you don't have the perfect conventional wedding. And it sucks because it shouldn't matter what your daughter or your son wants as long as it's making them happy.
Again, man, it's just strange. Like, I will never grow to a point where I'm trying to decide that the way that I live my life is exactly how other people are going to live their life. And as a man, I guess it's as black and white as this. Is it hurting anybody? Yes or no? And if it's not hurting anybody, you know what I mean? Then do what you do. And I feel with women, especially dumb hoes who are moms and consider themselves all knowing because what they've experienced must be exactly like what, you know, their children are about to experience or potentially gonna experience. They must convince themselves that they're doing damage. You know what I mean? This mom may have convinced herself that, yeah, no, she's going to regret it to the point where she's going to hate herself and want to kill herself or some bullshit later. You know what I mean? It's just nuts. It's just nuts, but that's not the way the world works.
Wasn't she the mom of the groom? She was calling the bride a slut, so I'm thinking...
No, she was the mother of the mom.
How could you say that?
She was the mother of the daughter. Look.
How could you say that about your own daughter?
Because remember, she was trying to convince the significant other that she looks like a slut in her wedding dress to get him to be like, okay, babe, maybe you should change, like, get another dress. She's trying to get under people's skin and get in their heads and shit. The problem is, parents will do and say anything sometimes to get their way. They'll say anything to get that attention. Oh, my son's gay, you know what I mean? Like, nigga, this isn't about you. This isn't about him today. Like, you're just dying for attention to the point where you're going to say this, even as it's going to get other people distraught. You know what I mean? It's nuts. It's nuts. Number 14, or maybe it's 13. You know what I'm talking about? I have extensive experience as an events coordinator, including private events such as weddings. The worst thing I've personally witnessed had a groom's baby mama and ex-fiance come to the reception uninvited. She grabbed the wedding cake, chucked it at the newlyweds, and began screaming how he was a deadbeat dad while she grabbed table wine bottles that she smashed on the ground. Everyone was stunned and in shock at first, but the ex-fiance was ultimately restrained by the groomsmen. We called the police, and she was charged with assault with a weapon from waving around a wine bottle and clocking a groomsman, and destruction of private property, both from the couple and the venue. What a charmer. In the end, the parents of the groom asked me to arrange a lovely and secret private dinner for the newlyweds and their bridal party to make up for the fiasco. Too long didn't read. Psycho baby mama showed up, destroyed a reception, so not quite Bridezilla, but groom dodged a marrying one, because it's direct, you know what I'm talking about? Anyway, somebody...
Well, there's some silver lining for you, I guess.
Somebody responds and says, if I were his parent, I would have sent her a slice of their cake just to antagonize her.
That's good.
No cake was salvaged, sadly. Oh, says the planner. The bride was a huge fan of donuts since childhood, so we ran out, grabbed a box upon boxes of them, and they celebrated cutting the donut during their midnight lunch. Look, man, God, some of these stories, like, oh, you just want a wedding that's cute and awesome and has significance and relevance to the people getting fucking united. And you want to know what the most romantic thing in the world for me is when two people are just like, I love you, you love me. Do you even want a marriage like thing? No, I just want to be yours. You know what I mean? Fucking run out and get your stupid certificate and celebrate in your own gay way, man, because it needs to have significance between you two and not be this huge spectacle. Some people want to involve the people that are in their lives and have been in their lives up until this point in the what they consider their most special day. That's great too. But holy shit, man, some people, you know what I mean, don't need to be involved in something that is not about them because they'll try to make it about them. Holy fucking monkey balls. Number 12. A bride once called having a meltdown because her friend got engaged as well as was planning to get married in the same year as she was. Apparently it was her special year and not just a day. She threw a huge fit and this girl was only getting married to steal her thunder. Yes, because no one else can have a life at the same time as you. You know what I mean? Everybody else is just an extra in your life. Holy shit. Her friend's date wasn't even in the same month or season. Hers was in October and her friend's was in June. Brides sometimes don't think rationally. Somebody responds, I took a young couple out to dinner to celebrate their engagement. And when the bride mentioned something about how this year was her year and that she wasn't taking any shit from her family about anything and would ban them from the wedding if they didn't do things her way, I didn't realize this was a thing. Well, now you know, motherfuckers. Number 11. I work as a hotel manager and we see bridezillas all the time. The worst was when a bridezilla was so upset that she couldn't fit all of her bridesmaids on the shuttle back from the reception. They took 2 vans on a 10-minute trip back to the hotel and it only seats 12. That's that she tried to physically assault the driver. Okay, is attacking the man driving gonna make it so that more people can fit on this?
I mean, like, why can't they just sit on top of each other? That's what my family would do.
You know, I guess everybody's not Mexican at the end of the day, Stripes.
Thanks.
You gonna fight me?
No.
Let's fight.
It's fine.
No.
You're right. It's a pretty Mexican thing to do.
Like, you think I don't have this beef patty thing that you said in the beginning of this video on my head the whole time that we were reading this?
What? Do you really have contempt for me about that?
He left her on the side of the road when she tried to bite him. Can you imagine that? The kicker, when the groom found out and came to get her, she was acting so crazy, he went to pick her up with her parents. And when they found her trudging back down the highway and heard her shitty attitude, they left her there too.
Guess serves her right. I guess I could see where she would be throwing a fit, though.
I've made a huge mistake, says a response. You know that episode of Arrested Development?
No.
No,
I don't watch any. I don't watch any.
You don't watch Arrested Development?
No.
A moment of steel, a dried-eyed house. I love that song. Would you say goodbye to you, or would you kick it out? You know I'm stronger. I'm sorry. Number 10. Not the official planner, but the bridezilla pulled the love card and demanded her fiance rent a massive equestrian park with stables, vast fields, riding rings, and the whole 9 yards. As if the 20,000 diamond ring wasn't enough. Only problem is a massive rainstorm rolled in and they only had one small building to cram into. Oh, and did I mention her several dogs? They all pissed and shat inside all over the velvet carpets.
Oh.
One even shat while they were walking down the aisle. Why would your dogs need to be at the fucking ceremony?
Not to say, I mean, why would you want your wedding smelling like horse shit to begin with? Why would you hold it at a ranch? I guess some people don't mind it, but, like, I couldn't imagine going to a wedding where it smelled like barn animals.
Here's what you need to understand. I think any girl.
Mm-hmm.
I think any girl who would be so crazy about her dogs that would want to include them in the fucking ceremony is off limits, unless the guy was as much of an animal chick as much of an animal
I'm
chick.
sorry, I'm focusing a lot about the horse ranch part, but man.
I know. That's all nuts. It's just nuts. It's all nuts. After a $20,000 ring, like, what the fuck? Why? You know what I mean? Someday this bitch is going to be a corpse and she's just going to be, I don't know, whatever. But then to also be so into horses that this is necessary too. You know what I mean? Who's this ceremony for? Are you marrying the animals too? Do you know what I mean? And there's a response here that says, don't marry a horse girl. Somebody else says horse girls are insane. Somebody else says, actually, I think they make for a stable relationship. No, you don't love that. You don't eat that stupid shit up. Fuck it. You know what I mean? God damn it. Number 9. I remember our wedding planner. She had some other title but coordinated the entire thing. Told my wife these insane stories, completely unbelievable, about Bridezillas. They were laughing, having fun about it. My wife swore she wouldn't be like that, and it was almost like the planner was trying to push it as far as he could, like she was trying to see just how much my wife would believe. After the first couple of stories, I stopped laughing and tried to figure out what I was hearing. And there was some whopper at the end about the inn having to call the cops because the bride was going to kill someone with the cake knife because something was wrong with the icing or some stupid shit like this. Anyway, my wife walks out and I said something to the woman like, was that all bullshit or just most of it? And she laughed and said, I just tell them this fucked up shit so they don't get any crazy ideas. You'll thank me later. If I wasn't her, I would have never thought I would be able to kill someone with a cake knife. Thanks, wedding planner. Fucking ridiculous. Number 8. I worked in stationery design in the wedding industry a while back. Invites, wishing wells, menus, you name it. If it was wedding related and on paper, we sold it. Some of the customers we got were class act, I can tell you. The best worst was a detailed consult with the bride and groom in regards to their invite design. Over the next 2 personal consults and many phone calls, I primarily dealt with the bride and her maid of honor together. After the last revision, the maid of honor came in to make a relatively major change, insisting that the bride wanted it that way. Idiot me made the change, and the order went to print. Well, turns out the bride and her maid of honor had a falling out, and the maid wanted to get back at her ex-friend. Apparently, she had approached several of the wedding services acting as an agent of the bride and pretty much fucked the whole event over. Well, that's sad, and I feel sorry for the bride.
That's pretty conniving. I mean, why just not leave it at we're not friends anymore and not ruin her day? That's a really important day for most people.
You know, that's what women are all about. Vengeance.
I'll fucking kill that bitch. I will fucking ruin her fucking day and life.
What was that one saying you told me? A man will chop your arm off, but a woman would,
I don't know. I don't remember that. I don't know. Let's say like a man will chop your arm off, but a woman will like convince you that your arms are like the reason that she's in your life, and the only way to get rid of her is to cut all of your limbs off on your own. And then when you cut them all off, she's still in your ear just driving you nuts.
Yeah, you fucking cut your limbs off. You can't go anywhere. You gotta deal with your fucking head all the time, you stupid bitch. Fucking hell. You thought you could get away from me, and now you can't go anywhere. I'm not in your fucking head. Fuck you, douchebag. You're so fucking stupid. I'm telling all your friends about it and take pictures with you. Look at this limbless jerk and put it on Instagram.
Hashtag no limbs. Okay, look. Number 8. My worst bride was an Ivy League educated shrink. She tried to play head games with absolutely everyone involved in the planning of the wedding. Frequently had fits. She and I butted heads because she wanted a carpet running straight from the bottom of the stairs to the doors of the chapel. I told her it wasn't possible. They didn't line up. She kept on asking me if I was sure. Even after I showed her exactly what I meant, she narrowed her eyes and told me she thought I had a problem with the truth. Oh, okay. I don't think you can handle the truth, lady. She was very controlling with the groom as well. I remember their names and looked them up on Facebook a while back. They're divorced, and he appears to be happily remarried. Here's the floor plan. Yeah, everybody, I bet you everybody on Reddit was like, tell us why it's impossible. I'd like to see that floor too. Thank you very much. You know what I mean?
excuse me.
Okay, it's basically just showing us that like you can't get the you could probably have, I don't know. We'll see. Whatever.
What, would you take the bride's side?
I wouldn't take the bride's side. I don't think I've ever been so happy for someone I didn't know existed 1.4 seconds ago. Hilarious.
It's been gilded.
Oh my god. Number 6?
7.
You don't know that.
6, 5, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. Number 5. Yeah.
But you've been calling the last one 8, so it was only trying to
You this has been 25 of the fucking most time-consuming pieces of... Number 5. I used to shoot wedding videos. Oh yeah, I used to shoot my load over a wedding. I'm kidding. I worked for this place that sold everything, and I only worked on videos. We'd shoot on weekends and edit during the week. I was assigned this wedding, and no one told me anything was special about it. I showed up. It was an Indian wedding. In a typical wedding, we would mic up the groom, and the bride and groom would stand in front of the preacher, and the one mic would get everyone's audio. Except in this wedding, the bride and the groom sat on a swing, and the person officiating the wedding was pacing back and forth, so my audio was like this. Today we are here to celebrate the lives of this young couple who have agreed to spend... On top of the bride and groom had eloped months. On top of this, the bride and the groom had eloped months earlier, and this was all for show. So what did the bride and the groom do? They sat there and talked shit about their guests. So not only could I barely hear the guy talking, I had way too much audio about how the bride's mother's cousin was a drunk and a slut. Then we go to the reception, and the reception lasted 8 fucking hours. 8 hours. I brought enough batteries and tapes, but Jesus, that was a long time. I sat a camera up at the end of the hall for a long shot, then a slightly closer shot from the other over the DJ booth, and I was doing handheld camera work. Every few songs, I'd move my long shot camera to get a different angle.
It better be a payoff, like that they hate the edited video or something.
Now we go into the edit phase. This is really the first time I ever interact with the couple where we spend any amount of time together. I get shots while they are getting ready, but we didn't really talk that much. So I'm editing, and we have a standard format we follow. A Montague in the beginning. Ceremony footage, first dance, father-daughter dance, mom-son dance, cake cutting. Random footage of people dancing, testimonials and well wishes, etc. Basic shit. It ends up being about 2 to 4 hours since 2 or 4 hours once everything is done. Theirs was 5 hours long. We gave them a copy, and the next day the bride stormed in the store, demanding the rest of her wedding. The rest? I have no idea what she's talking about, and I don't get paid for any re-editing work. We gave her an hour longer than any video I'd ever done, but that wasn't enough. She wanted all 8 hours of the reception, edited together. I loaded all my shots up and did huge cuts where I'd stay on a shot until it sucked. Then I'd change it. Some shots wouldn't move for 3 songs. There were no way I was spending a lot of time on this. We finally finished and exported the video to DVD. We called her in, and she wanted to watch it in the store, and she brought a notepad. As she's watching, she's making an edit list of things she wants me to change. That list ended up being 3 pages of shit. I stood up, looked her in the face, and said, "This job isn't worth it." I quit. That was the last wedding video I ever edited. This Indian bitch.
You going to edit my video, please? I'd call you in tech support and tell you that you need to edit my video.
I've noticed all these weddings so far have been straight weddings. Do you think they're just gay couples are more well adjusted?
You don't know that some of them haven't been sneakily like 2 mans or 2 ladies, even worse.
Why is it worse?
Well, men and women haven't had like public ceremonies up until just recently. And yeah, no, they get together because they have... Look, I don't want to bash fucking straight couples, and that's what this will turn into if I get fucking... And hilariously, I'm not a gay man, but, you know, I'll tell you what, man, some of these gay couples, they know what's up, as opposed to some of these crazy motherfuckers that seem to get together just because they live close or some horseshit like this. I may be late to the party, But here it goes. I'm not a wedding planner, but I do work in the industry, and my friend is the wedding planner I'm telling this story about. He is good-looking, straight male that has amazing eye for design and detail. He can do everything from wedding dress design and execution, flowers, you name it, and his services are not cheap. He had a bride who called him up a few days before her wedding and told him she couldn't go through with the wedding because she was in love with someone else. The conversation went something like this. Bride:
I can't marry him. I just don't love him no more. I think I'm in love with somebody else.
Him: what do you mean you're in love with someone else? Your wedding is 5 days away.
Well, I'm in love with you. You just get me. I've never met anyone else like you.
Him. Do you know how much your parents are paying me to get you? She ended up getting married 5 days later, and it was never mentioned again.
I like how they had to specify that he's a straight wedding planner because of the stigma.
Honey, you are gonna look great in that dress. Number 3. I work at a facility Shut up. I work at a facility where we Are
you okay?
I'll be alright. Where we rent out for weddings. We probably host like 8 weddings a year. And weddings bring out the worst in people. You can have the calmest, chill person on your first meeting, but by the time that wedding rolls around, that bride will be hell on wheels. I'm kidding. That bride will be hell on wheels. My most recent bride was having the... Stripes just picked up a...
Here.
Well, you can eat them now if you want to eat them. Are you just going to hug it?
Yeah, I just want to hold it.
Stripes just picked... Okay, here's a story. Quick story about a Bridezilla wannabe. Stripes took a bag of M&Ms that a subscriber sent to me via my wish list on Amazon and took it to the kitchen and then ripped it open. I mean, like, it's like one of those bags that has a seal that can be resealed, and Stripes was like, fuck all that, and she just ripped the fucking bag open, and M&Ms erupted all over the freaking kitchen. And I heard this from the bedroom, just like, okay. And I walk out there and I see the M&Ms all over the ground, and she's like, I'll clean it. And then she comes into the bedroom with a Sprite bottle, right? An empty Sprite bottle that she put all the M&Ms inside. So who knows how much hair is inside
There's no hair in here.
Okay, yeah, no, but I'm kidding. But yeah, she's hugging a Sprite bottle now full of M&Ms. This is the type of shit I'd probably put on Twitter in case anybody's interested in seeing that. If you are listening to this and are furious that I'm interrupting this list, that somehow you've made it this far through and want to see the picture of a M&M filled Sprite bottle on my Twitter, you let me know. Otherwise, I mean, let's get back into this shit. I work at a facility where we rent out for weddings. We probably host like 8 weddings a year.
I'm sorry to get you off of this, but I remind you that I couldn't find a funnel, so I had to do all this by hand. I spent an hour putting these all in here.
So once again, if you guys would like to see the Sprite bottle filled with M&Ms that Stripes painstakingly filled one by hand, you know what I mean? It's probably an art installation as far as she's concerned. God damn. Like, let me get through this. I work at a facility that we rent out for weddings. We probably host like 8 weddings a year, and weddings bring out the worst in people. I'm done. You can have the calmest, chill person on your first meeting, but by the time that the wedding rolls around, that bride will be hell on wheels. Number 1. My most recent bride was having what was obviously her second or third wedding. That's a shame. She kept trying to use everything for free, even though she had signed a very specific contract that stated what she could and could not do. She pitched a fit over that. Then, on the day of the wedding, she threw a nuclear meltdown fit when her bridesmaids got tired of taking photographs after 3 hours and went somewhere to get warm. She started screaming at the photographer that she was going to keep taking pictures and to hell with all of them. Okay. Number 2. I had a mother-in-law-zilla one time who, after seeing and approving of the chairs that we provided, caused a scene of epic proportions after she decided that the chairs weren't good enough anymore. The bride was sobbing by the end of it, being consoled by a monster-in-law who simply kept telling her it'll be alright, even though everything is ruined by these green chairs. Oh God. Number 3. I had a bride rent our facility for her classy wedding. She was a bitch with a capital B. A bitch. She refused to make eye contact with any staff member, got people's attention by snapping her fingers at them, and made a complete and total fool of herself when she and her groom showed up plastered to the reception. A rumor had started to spread that she was pregnant, which is why they were getting married. She furiously denied this in a speech to everyone gathered at the wedding. The baby was born 5 months later. A healthy 10 pounds. It now costs a lot of money to get married at my workplace. Because of shit going like that, I'm sure. Getting plastered in her second trimester. Classy, man. Where do rednecks getting this money is the real question.
She's treating these people like dogs, literally snapping her fingers to get their attention. That's pretty shitty.
Come on, man. I you know, guys listening to this, I'll save that for the end of the video. Yay, says number 2. Finally, an Ask Reddit thread that pertains to me. I am a wedding special event planner in Toronto. I own my own planning company, and I have been in the industry for about 8 years. Get to the fucking things. Number 1.
This is his time, Kyle.
You know, this is time to shine. I got the spotlight. You guys gonna gild me? I want the attention, Reddit. Give me the upvotes. I need that karma. You know what I mean? Fuck me. I had a bridesmaid that openly spoke utter and complete shit about the groom's family in front of his face. She would say that they were crazy, unclassy, and annoying. And come the wedding, her family was actually the hardest family I ever had to deal with. And the groom's family was absolutely lovely. On top of all this, the bride yelled at all of the vendors all day, resulting in the videographers leaving after just 1 hour of shooting, and the photographer cried in the bathroom.
Aww.
What kind of poor girl they did this to? And the groom and the bride's cousins apologized to me for their behavior all night. Are you kidding me? Nah, nigga. That poor girl, she probably just didn't want to lose her job. That's a crazy. I'd love to get involved in this kind of work, but I'm a hard ass. People don't have time for me. They'd be like, oh, there's a scary black guy here. That's gonna.
What, as a photographer? Or?
No, I'm just trying to confuse my subscribers as usual. Number 2, I had one horrible bride who I planned an amazing wedding for. She raved about how much she loved the food all evening, but the day after the wedding, she wrote a bad review about the catering on Yelp, and she told me she wouldn't remove it unless they gave her a discount. What a slut. What a fucking slut. She wouldn't remove the Yelp review. What a fuck. There's a South Park episode about human assholes like this. What a human asshole. Number 3, I had one horrific couple that didn't care about anyone. The groom was 30 minutes late for the ceremony, but it was no big deal because the bride was 2 hours late. After the ceremony, we had to shorten cocktails to make up for lost time. The couple got wasted in their limo and both ended up falling asleep. They were both so late for their own reception that I had the venue serve dinner without them. Their parents were furious. The bride's parents left early. The couple didn't arrive until 11 at night. Half of their guests left before they arrived, and they yelled at me for allowing dinner to start before their arrival. This was a 400 guest wedding. Wow. Number 4, I had a really high-strung groom who yelled at one of his young guests, the kid was like 12, for sitting out of his assigned seat, and told the kid and his parents to leave. Later at night, the bride's father, who was single, made out with one of the bridesmaids, and the groom punched him. Okay. We had to call an ambulance, and the groom was arrested. Hilarious. That's what happens. I own my own bartending company, and had number 2 happen to me. What was number 2 again? Raved about how she loved the food, and they wrote a shitty Yelp review. The bride and all the guests raved about how great we were all night, and the next day the bride shat all over the company online, and unless I returned $450. I used screenshots, pictures, and copies of the contract to convince the website to have the reviews removed, and told her to go fuck herself. I checked her Yelp account, and it seems as though she made the account just to give bad reviews to all of the vendors from her wedding in return for refunds. She clearly planned a wedding she couldn't afford and ended up with buyer's remorse. You really can't buy class. My God. Number 1, obligatory, not a wedding planner, but my cousin's bride wouldn't let him take a picture with me because by himself because she was jealous. I was 8 years old. Their flower girl.
Oh.
And his cousin.
That's terrible.
She got into a screaming match with her sister-in-law because she had a bigger engagement ring. Bridezilla was from New Orleans, wanted to have the wedding there, insisted on having the wedding there even after it got fucked over by Hurricane Katrina. Finding a hotel was a fucking delight, according to my parents. Went on a tirade where she insulted pretty much our entire family, made her husband skip our grandmother's funeral.
Wait, did she die in the hurricane?
Wow, man. Made her husband skip our grandmother's funeral because she didn't like her anyway. Honestly, no one has forgiven him for going along with this. Cheated on my cousin with her high school sweetheart after my cousin paid for her lap band surgery. She was a treat, don't miss her at all. So how long did the marriage last? Longer than we thought, 6 years.
Shit.
Ironically, she was the one who cheated. Ironic, nigga. This makes me upset, man. Oh boy. If you made it to the end of this video, you know, good on you. You guys are insane, but I love you. And if you can find me one of these where somebody's getting like murdered or something, you know, something creepy, something amazing. You know,
I thought you had some parting words for any guys listening.
What do you mean?
Didn't you have something to say?
No, I was just going to talk about how I wanted people to find me something that, you know, that was dark as fuck. Because, you know, we can kick all of these around all day, but we're not going to find anything that's like morbid as shit. I'm talking about like, okay, let me just type the word creepy in and see
Maybe
what comes
you
up.
should direct people to your Discord group.
Fine, I'll put a Discord link in the chat, and then the comment section will be filled with, nigga, what the fuck is Discord? So now I'm supposed to piss you off as usual. You know, what's something that's gonna make you upset? Well, let's talk about like your furry nature and how you think it's just, you know, I think it's falling away from you. I think that you can't keep pretending that you're a furry, Stripes, to,
Well,
you know.
I guess you're kind of right on that. I'm not even really covered in fur anymore. I'm a ladybug. Doesn't faze me.
Okay, so there you have it, subscribers. Stripes has managed to flip it on me. She's gonna piss me off if she keeps talking about this kind of stupid horse shit. You know what I mean? I'm a fucking ladybug, she said. You know, we just gotta end these videos before they get out of control. You know, I hope you are having a great day. I hope you enjoyed this video. This stupid, you know, fuck Stripes. Fuck Stripes. That's gotta be the video we make soon. Fuck Stripes. See you guys later.